Alan, what is volume genius on our longer term charts?
In this context, which is not day trading, is that you have an increase in volume, which often tells us what's happening in the market in the sense that buyers and sellers are becoming more active. They say, hey, this is the point where I need to sell to take a profit, or there was some news out there. But the idea that is that volume tells you that something's going on and that we need to pay attention and maybe we need to change our position, get in or get out of something because of the activity. In math terms, because we've had some people asking for that, we are using a rolling moving average in this context of what the volume is so that you can see relatively, is the volume doing something? And in the day trader, it's extremely much more sophisticated because of that environment. We need and applied that. But in this one, it is simpler. But those spikes at the bottom give you an idea of just how much extra volume versus other normal times is going on. And that's the key, is how busy is it? And that means I need to pay attention. And so when there's not much volume, that's a different style of trading rules that should be applied generally. Because if nothing's going on in the sense of volume, a stock can drift up and it can smash down very quickly. And that's where you have to do risk assessment. That's outside the scope of what a volume genius does. But the idea is that this tells you something, that there's a lot of activity or it's very low activity, and visually you can see that. And that's the point of that.
And we're really painting a picture of different things that you can use to get the information that's important to you depending on your perspective. Now, volume genius, as Alan discussed, is very different and has different meaning on a longer term chart such as this, when it's multi-year, or maybe it's a weekly chart or a daily chart. And then you get into the smaller scale charts like the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart. They have different meanings. So in order to figure out what your trading system is and how you're going to be able to replicate that over time, you need consistently trustworthy indicators. And that's exactly what the volume genius is. And again, it earned our special badge, the genius. Now, again, this is a very, very important, because as you can see, I'll show you two examples right now of where the volume genius indicated that something was happening and that that thing was different in both cases. Now, right here, as you can see, the volume is actually rising. Now, this is indicating a high volume and then a rise because the stock price is actually rising during this time. So this behavior causes me to go to a different strategy than this trend right here. As you can see, the volume on the bottom is relatively low. So this would be a low volume rise. Now, that tells me, because I've practiced and all this stuff, and we have a simulator and all this, have enough repetitions, that those two rules for being into this trade and this trade are actually different. So when do you get out of this trade is actually very different than you get out of this trade. So that can only be done with the right information, and that's portrayed down here on the bottom. Volume genius is one of the critical big five, that we call it, that you need on your chart to be able to tell what's generally going on with risk.